back on you. This is the third and final video in my series talking about each of the tracks on my Infiltration EP that's just released. Third track, Mutate. It's in my eyes, it's the real focal point of the album. It's the main piece of music. If there was one song on the EP that I would want people to listen to, it would be this one. It's the one I'm the most proud of. It's also the most ambitious one, I feel. Again, it's one of those, it began from a foundation on the Behringer 2600. I recorded just a lot of things on there in the initial stages of making this EP. I recorded just a lot on there, and this piece was one that ended up about 16 minutes long, and there wasn't any of it that I really wanted to cut out, so I decided I was just going to make a 16-minute long song, which, I mean, appealed to me because I listen to a lot of like progressive rock anyway. All their songs are that long. It was quite an interesting challenge for myself, like, can I? And I think it turned out really well. Like I said, it began with the Behringer 2600, and then, like Enslave, I sort of added a few different Microfreak parts on top of it. With it being 16 minutes long, I felt like there had to be some variation in what was in there. The 2600 piece, the main bulk of it, that changes throughout, so I felt like it was fine to leave that. Like, there wasn't a lot that I felt needed to change. That doesn't get very stale, I don't think. But I needed a few different Microfreak things, so I recorded a few sections for the song with that. And then after that I moved on again to the Elisa's Strike electronic drum kit. Again, I tried to use a lot of sounds that weren't necessarily used in traditional music. So Middle Eastern kits, African kits, Caribbean kits, that kind of thing. The presets on there are really good for finding that kind of thing. There's a lot on there. There's a lot that's available to use. Once I'd got those, I didn't add any MIDI instrument to this one because I felt like the 2600 foundation really did enough. I sort of, with it being 16 minutes long, each of the different parts that I recorded for it, I staggered their entrance into the track just so that there was something fresh all the way through, because that's important to me. Like, I wanted it in my goals of making this 16-minute song, I wanted it to be fresh throughout. I didn't want it to be stagnant at any point, and I feel like staggering the introduction of each of the instruments, minus a couple that began at the beginning and ran all the way through. Like, there's a kick drum in there that goes all the way through, just sort of sparsely with gaps between each kick, that sort of has just like a bass layer that works. In terms of the track, like I say, it is the one song on there that I would urge people to listen to if they did want to check out the EP. It's the track I'm the most proud of. It's the track that I think turned out the best. I really like it. In terms of the narrative, obviously at the end of Enslave, the character's been caught by the entity, and this track is the entity experimenting on and eventually mutating the character, but in a way that I feel the ending of the track is open to interpretation. Like, I feel like it's well, I say I feel it's my track, it is purposefully vague in the ending of the track in a way that I feel gives you as the listener the opportunity to decide yourself has happened to the character and what state he is in. But I decided, I felt like I tried to choose instruments, or not instruments, I tried to choose drum sounds that could act as they come in. It could be a new experiment that the entity is performing on the character. And then there's a part close to the end of the track where everything sort of cuts out and then comes back in louder than before. And I feel like that to me is the point where the character has gone beyond and the mutations have taken effect and he is no longer the character that he began as. I think overall, I think it's a really interesting narrative for the piece, for the EP. I think it works really well with the tone that the music sets. I think that the atmosphere of the music really fits it. It's quite ominous, it's quite eerie. I feel like it really suits the vibe of potentially even the entity being the main character and not the character that he's pursuing. And overall, I think it turned out really well, and I think it comes across really well, and I am really proud of the project as a whole. If you have checked it out already on my Bandcamp, thank you very much. It means a lot to me. If you're seeing any one of these videos and that's causing you to want to check it out, the link to the Bandcamp is in the description of all of the videos. It is free to listen to. Again, if you are only going to listen to one track, I know it's 16 minutes long, but this piece is the one that I'm the most proud of. And I think it turned out really well. And if you do listen to the EP, be it just the one track or all three, thank you very much. It means the world to me. Yeah. Thank you. To the future.